Good day everyone, so yes, I'm serious about the video title. You do not want to pull for Mualani because of her combat performance. And you might be puzzled by this, but this is exactly why I've put the background footage here as not being Genshin, but Honkai Impact III. So let me explain how all of this will come together. Effectively, when I play here in Honkai Impact III, I've got a character, Zila, right here, and currently against this boss with this team, there is no other combination in the game. No other team, no other set of equipment, no 4-stars, no nothing like that, that can beat this team. By design, this is going to be the team that will give you the maximum competitive score. And this is exactly my problem with Genshin Impact, and in particular Mualani. It's not that Mulani is not going to do damage. Look, she's going to be the premier vaporized unit, but just because of the fact that to beat the exact same boss using other characters, older or newer, there's just nothing compelling about the character because the game mode, the content offering that MiHoYo gives to you is not good enough. So let me try and explain that. Effectively, what Genshin Impact boils down to, whether using Hyper Bloom or Vaporize or whatever, is just a variation of do more damage, and there are lots of different ways of doing more damage against the same old kind of targets. And this lack of fundamentally engineering Genshin to have a variety of different combat objectives that doesn't just involve some score-based system or beat the enemies as fast as possible is precisely why I think there is not a compelling enough reason to get the character. Now, if you're a new player and you want a decent DPS and you've currently picked up Xiangling in the Spiral Abyss and everyone tells you how amazing Xiangling is despite the fact that there are lots of caveats as well, yes, go for Mualani. But unfortunately, if you're an endgame player like me, there's something else that matters a bit more than Mualani's combat performance, and that is the overworld of Natlan, because there is a lot of exploration to do, and this is why I actually think you should pull for Mualani. Her exploration is going to be cracked. From the very few content creators that actually talk about the overworld and exploration, I can definitely see that if you get Mualani, you're going to have a good time. And it's such a shame that people don't want to talk about this, because as Genshin Impact players, we are not going to sit for 5 hours in these Power Abyss trying different teams and trying to put it onto Twitch and wow, I'm so amazing. No, a lot of us have a life and we need to explore Natland, we need to get the Primo Gems, we want to be hyped about the story and the new characters and so on, so we don't want to waste our time. And the best way to not waste your time for the majority of Natlan is, I honestly think, is to get Mualani. You're going to be able to ride almost infinitely if you pick up regional specialities, but you basically get like 30 seconds to hop around, hit enemies mid-air, dive, go around the terrain, and pair it with Kachina and perhaps in the future some other Natlan characters. You're going to have a fantastic time exploring. In fact, this is what the developers have said. They wanted Natlan to be the region where exploration and the ability to move is going to be king, and I think that is what a lot of us should go for. The other thing that I want to talk about is the fact that even if you are happy with Mulani in terms of DPS and movement and all these things, I think there's also an argument to be made that given Genshin's current trajectory of power creep, it might actually also be a good enough case to skip Mualani, get someone like Marika, and you can always then on the rerun, and Mulani is going to get a rerun before 5.0, then pull on the character if she turns out to be incredibly busted. But from where I'm standing, the game is going into a very insane power creep spiral, and if you are very happy to skip Mulani for the exploration, it might actually be worthwhile for you to get a C2 Mavuika and just enable a wider variety of teams that you will be able to play, and that's gonna in and of itself, if you're more combat focused, give you that variety for the rest of Natlan, if you already are happy with your exploration options, that is. So that is how I can see the game evolves. You see, unfortunately, we're in a situation currently where all the characters are not really worth it anymore. And in the past, a lot of people would have always said, hey, go for C2 Raiden Shogun, and some people might have said you must invest horizontally instead of vertically. But I think the future in Genshin Impact is going to be a case of you wanting to invest slightly vertically on some of the newer and latest units, precisely because I think of the power creep that is coming. I know world level 9 sounds really good, and I think it sounds good to have more and more units in the Imaginary Theatre, less pity on the weapon banner and on the character banners and all of that good stuff, but ultimately Hoyo is gonna need to make money, and I think if I were Hoyo, the one way I would claw back giving you weapons more easily on the weapon banner and by giving you a higher chance to get your destined character on the game is by upping the content so that you have to pull for new characters by necessity. And I think this is where my strategy of saying that C0 Mulani's damage might not be enough is actually going to start making sense. I think unless you want to go for exploration, getting those extra constellations on a like premier unit like Mavika or whoever the Pyro Archon is, I don't even know what's happening in that land. That to me would make the most sense. If you have C2 on a unit, for instance, like Farina, that can enable many more teams, you're just going to be that much more satisfied. You can always pick up Mulani on the rerun. So that is really the case that I have to represent. Right, no more yapping, the background footage is also running out, so that is my cue to leave, and thank you for watching. Cheers.